Sawadee Kop! Welcome to Break Time with Monte. Today's story, Fishing Boat Slaves. With only 2 to 3 hours rest, 20-hour work days, 25 months at sea, the boss kept their documents and would not let them leave the boat. Saved fishermen share plight. Survivors tell of 20-hour days, years at sea. When Wuth Isak Tantisuk was approached by a stranger trying to persuade him to work on a fishing boat, he knew he should be cautious about the man's offer. Unfortunately, caution was not enough for Mr. Wuth Isak to avoid being forced to work in hell, before eventually ending up as living as an illegal immigrant on the Indonesian island of Ambon. The 44-year-old was among 6 fishermen reunited with their families in Thailand on Wednesday. The group was saved from Ambon, where they had taken refuge after escaping unbearable working conditions on deep-sea trawlers, which they counted as the worst moments of their lives. The 6 men were rescued by staff from the Labor Rights Promotion Network Foundation. Staff from the foundation visited Ambon between August 24 and August 29 to inspect the conditions of several deep-sea trawlers there and worked with Indonesian and Thai authorities to bring the men home. The authorities are now striving to rescue another 4 Thais and 10 Myanmar fishermen who wanted to leave the island. Mr. Wuthasak told the Bangkok Post he had been drugged before being taken to the boat to begin work. He said he was aware that something bad might happen when he met the stranger earlier this year. After another stranger joined their conversation, he fell prey to the scheme. Someone might have put something in my water or replaced it with a new bottle containing drugs, because after just a few sips, I was dizzy and soon fell unconscious, he said. He woke up at a restaurant before being taken onto a fishing boat in Samut Sakhon with another 13 men who looked unwilling to begin their work at sea, Mr. Wuthasak said. All new crew members were forced to sign their names on loan contracts saying they had each borrowed 30,000 baht to pay brokers who had introduced them to the owners of the boats. After that, they had no life, worked night and day to settle the debts, Mr. Wuthasak said. Crew members were paid between 6,000 and 8,000 baht each month in return for working 20-hour days. There were almost always jobs on the boat available, he said. The faster the fishermen worked, the sooner they could go to bed. However, I never felt that I had enough sleep, as I was given only 2 or 3 hours to rest, he said. Mr. Wuthasak decided to escape from the trawler and eventually managed to hire an Indonesian man to take him in a small boat to Ambon. He had to work secretly on the island since he was afraid of being found by his boss or arrested by police. Another victim, Narongsin Puetmo, shared his experience. Stuck on a fishing trawler, Mr. Narongsin just wanted to escape. I prayed every day to return home, said the 46-year-old Uban Ratchathani native. Mr. Narongsin had been ordained for 5 years before he decided to leave the monkhood and look for a job last year. Unlike Mr. Wuthasak, who was forced to work, Mr. Narongsin said he was willing to work on a trawler after being promised decent wages. One day when he found his boat had entered Indonesian waters, he planned his escape as he had never intended to travel so far. What I experienced was more painful than any assault, said another victim, Boy Songsap, 30. The Bangkok resident said his decision to take a job on the trawler was not naive. Mr. Boy had worked on fishing boats for more than 10 years, but he did not want to spend long periods at sea. He used to work at sea for up to 25 months at a time, but in July 2011, he set out for the last time. I had worked on the boat for 3 years. It was too long, he said. One day, Mr. Boy asked the boat's skipper to let him come ashore, but his request was rejected, and the skipper verbally abused him. The skipper challenged Mr. Boy to return to the mainland yourself if you have a brain. After years without rest, the words pushed Mr. Boy over the edge, and he vowed to escape. Another 3 victims, Waipop, Shangsai, Thongsi Prom Wibut, and Phai Pop, Philabut, were also found hiding on Ambon. The fishermen all shared similar experiences, working on fishing trawlers, including unfair wages, long hours, and extended periods at sea. Department of Employment Inspector General Singhadet Shamanat said officials would prevent a reoccurrence of this kind of labor exploitation by better inspecting deep-sea fishing trawlers and fishermen identity documents, known as seamen's books. Many seamen's books have been forged and kept by their bosses to prevent fishermen escaping, said Futhipat Lochawasit, chief of the Social Development and Welfare Department. Seeing their relatives forced to work in far-flung places for long periods means the victims' families share similar feelings. It's better to live and work in our hometown on the mainland, said Mr. Boy's aunt, Saluai Sukun, as she hugged her nephew. And now, today's vocabulary. Abuse, abuse, approach, approach, arrest, arrest, ashore, ashore, assault, assault, authority, authority, available, available, avoid, avoid, aware, aware, borrow, borrow, broker, broker, caution, caution, cautious, cautious, challenge, challenge, conditions, conditions, contain, contain, contract, contract, conversation, conversation, count as, crew members, crew members, decent, decent, deep sea port, deep sea port, dizzy, dizzy, document, document, edge, edge, escape, escape, eventually, eventually, experience, experience, exploitation, exploitation, extend, extend, force, force, forge, forge, foundation, foundation, hell, hell, identity, identity, illegal, illegal, immigrant, immigrant, inspect, inspect, intended, intended, introduce, introduce, labor, labor, mainland, mainland, moment, moment, monkhood, monkhood, naive, naive, network, network, offer, offer, official, official, ordain, ordain, painful, painful, period, period, persuade, persuade, plight, plight, prevent, prevent, pray, pray, promise, promise, recurrence, recurrence, reject, reject, relative, relative, replace, replace, request, request, rescue, rescue, resident, resident, rest, rest, reunite, reunite, scheme, scheme, secret, secret, settle debt, settle debt, share, share, sign a contract, sign a contract, similar, similar, sip, sip, skipper, skipper, staff, staff, stranger, stranger, strive, strive, suffer, suffer, take refuge, take refuge, tears, tears, trawler, trawler, unbearable, unbearable, unconscious, unconscious, unfortunately, unfortunately, unwilling, unwilling, verbally, verbally, victim, victim, vow, vow, wage, wage, wake up, wake up. That's today's story and vocabulary. You have a great day. I'll see you next time here on Break Time with Monte.